You done fucked it up. That's right, it's the return of the top 10 controversies of 2019, back due to popular demand from you guys. This was a request from our supporting members, our Patreons, our join buttons. Please contribute if you like content like this. So let's just jump right in, get back to the list, and tell you what, let's do it supersized this year because there were a ton of fuck-ups in 2019. So these are the top 15 controversies of 2019.
Number 15.
It's like he's having fun.
Meow?
Ah!
Oh, come on.
Oh! What the? Sonic the Hedgehog's design reveal. Okay, so it's not 100% gaming only, but it is definitely gaming related. The video game based movie Sonic the Hedgehog revealed its first trailer in 2019 to the internet's pure horror.
Oh, come on. Okay, pal, I want answers.
The Sonic that they show was something more like an abomination rather than the lovable hedgehog that we all know. Everybody unanimously found it creepy and just weird and odd looking, confusing. Why not just use the, I don't know, the actual design since you're working directly with Sega? This is what happens when Hollywood gets a hold of video game movies. Thankfully, they actually agreed to a design change when they saw all the backlash on Twitter and social media and YouTube downvotes. And guess what? The new design, it looks great. It earned my ticket price. So that's why this one's number 15 on the list, because it's got a good ending.
You're right. It was lame. Gift shop was cool, though.
Number 14.
But for a whole mode to be locked off, and you'll see there at the bottom it says timed exclusive content until October 1st, 2020. Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me that by the time PC, my version, and Xbox gets to play this, you'll have another fucking Call of Duty coming out and making this one completely fucking pointless.
Activision's deal with Sony pissed off everyone this year when it was revealed that Modern Warfare Spec Ops Survival Mode will be locked off to the PS4 for an entire year!
No, that is fucking stupid. Activision needs to change this right away. I don't know how much Sony or PS4 paid them, but they need to contact Sony. They need to say, guys, we're getting a lot of blowback from this. Maybe this is not right. This is unfair.
Despite last year's exclusivity deal, Black Ops 4 being only for like 7 days, many people took to the internet to express how they feel that they're buying a less complete version of the game for the same fucking price. And by the time they are given the new mode, it'll be completely useless because it's going to be a near-dead game anyway. It's going to be at least at the end of its life cycle. The game's narrative director defended the decision, saying it was only a sliver of the game, not even 1% of the content, he said, despite that being completely inaccurate. And he said it was a deal made above all our pay grades. Well, I still can't play the mode, and at this point, I don't really plan to anymore. It made 0 sense for Sony to piss everyone off for this long for minimal, if any, game. Just dumb. I hate it.
Number 13.
And they've sort of built a cult of personality around themselves, right? You guys know the type of streamers we're talking about, you know, the kind of streamers everybody hates. Randy Pitchford. How's it going, you guys?
Randy Pitchford was a bit of a dick this year who couldn't keep his mouth shut, doing some PR damage to Borderlands 3, his company, Gearbox, and 2K as his game was nearing release.
Nobody likes a bigot unless he's crying. Boo-hoo.
Randy, come here, bro. Randy, come here. Shut up!
Randy Pitchford prides himself on being a real-life magician. Well, if the whole magic career doesn't pan out, it seems like he could have a very long run as a fucking clown. The latest controversy this weird man has mired himself in involves a cat and a crab. The crab does indeed pinch the cat. Now, I've not seen that bit because, frankly, I don't want to see a cat getting fucking hurt. That's not entertainment to me, but then I'm not a CEO.
I have cards, and I'm a magician. A miracle, you guys! A miracle! Thank you so much. You did a great job. Thank you so much.
Some awkward magic and some fuck-ups presenting the game. Look, this all started when the original voice actor for Claptrap said that he wasn't reprising his role because of unpaid royalties from Gearbox, as well as alleging that Randy Pitchford himself harassed and physically assaulted him in a confrontation about it. And add in the lawsuit from former Gearbox lawyer Wade Callender, who accuses Randy of actually pocketing a secret bonus, like $12 million bonus, all for himself, which, by the way, was settled also that year in 2019 in an agreement that we don't have the details to.
Nobody likes a bigot unless he's crying. Boo-hoo.
Then add in the claims that Randy himself confirms that he misplaced a USB drive of porn.
So anyway, he left that USB drive at a medieval times and he said that a worker there took it home and found the porn, but even before we get to the porn, we have Randy just leaving a drive full of important Gearbox and 2K documents at a restaurant/jousting tournament. And then there's the porn.
And sensitive studio information. He had porn and his studio's sensitive secrets on the same fucking USB drive. Who the fuck uses porn on USB drives these days anyway?
Now, Randy's actually specifically responded to this allegation in a podcast that was filmed before this lawsuit was made public, okay? And in that, he basically says that, yes, there was porn on that USB stick. However, the model was 18 years old.
But going all the way,
Yeah,
baby.
and he was ultimately saying that he took the footage because he thought it was something that he wanted to like study because he thinks she's not a cam girl, she's actually a magician or something, right?
It sounds so ridiculous.
It sounds
when you say it out
ridiculous.
loud.
And then he was going to say that he was thinking of putting her on the cover of a magazine he actually owns, and it's like a magician kind of enthusiast magazine. So it does sound a bit crazy.
It sounds completely fucking whack.
He admits it. It doesn't make any leftist of all places at medieval times. He also threw some shots at Xbox on Twitter, and he basically wasn't handling all the Twitter criticism he was getting very well. Basically a lightning rod in 2019 for sure, which has, to be fair, cooled down. Somebody decided to finally tell him on social media, man, cool it.
Nobody likes a bigot when he's crying. One more time. Nobody likes a bigot unless he's crying. Boo-hoo like a big fucking baby. Boo-hoo when he's crying.
Number 12.
Welcome to my store.
Your PlayStation Plus membership works across PS4, PS3, and PS Vita systems, delivering an amazing variety of games to play.
PS Plus removes free PS3 and PS Vita games and replaces them with nothing. Did you know that for your $9.99 a month or the $59.99 a year, that the PS Plus used to come with 2 PS4 games, 2 PS3 games, and 2 PS Vita games? Yeah, well, the final month for that was February 2019. What happened? Well, they took away the PS Vita games and the PS3 games. Now it's just 2 PS4 games. So literally, you lose 2/3 of the value of the service, but providing no other free titles.
Join now to get the ultimate gameplay experience.
Subscribers are like, what the hell? What's going on? I get they assumed that they would replace those lost games with some more PS4 games, but they didn't. And the price actually increased too in some regions to add insult to injury. Sony initially tried to, soften that blow with some good PS4 titles, free ones on PS4 Plus. But it's sort of lost its consistency. And now people are literally paying the same for more or for less, basically. And that's that. All this while Xbox is killing it with their Xbox Game Pass. Really, Sony? Does it really cost you that much to run that service? And that's all you're going to do? Add nothing? That just, okay. Really fucking lazy, guys. Thanks.
Let's get to it. You won't believe what's in store. Rated RP to him.
PlayStation.
Number 11.
And this is a relatively new thing. And the ESRB's response with regards to this type of material has been woefully below average, almost as if they condone this sort of stuff and they support this sort of stuff. It's been said many times that there are people that sit on the board of the ESRB or the ESA and the ESRB, by extension who own the ESRB, that support these types of stuff, that are the companies that are worst at this time.
It's more money for
the ESRB ratings are a joke. This drama unfolded when everybody saw that a rated E for game, NBA 2K20 comes out. It's rated E for everyone when it literally has simulated gambling mechanics in it. They've been doing it for fucking years and we're sick of it. They're not even doing their job right.
They want to feign the importance of protecting our children from overly sexual or overly violent video games, but they don't want to protect them from overly aggressive money.
Yes, more money for us. Anything else? No.
Exactly.
We'll ban that.
And I'm sick of it, guys.
When I called them out on it, when we looked up the industry information, we realized how useless these are. They are essentially regulating themselves. So of course they're going to protect their interests and they're not going to overly inform you about microtransactions. They're going to leave it up to parents. They're going to say, they're not even going to label it fucking right. No.
You can't get any more simulated gambling than this visual representation of a gambling machine. Okay?
I don't know what else.
I don't know what else. The rewards you get if you roll well enough, if you're lucky enough, then you get a reward. It can't be any more the definition of simulated gambling. Why did you make this game an E for everyone game? Appropriate for the entire family, for children.
And the E3 show itself, like I said, it's falling apart. Sony pulled out. What's more, these fucking morons leaked a spreadsheet of over 2,000 journalists, online personalities, content creators, all of their personal fucking information. And this is the ESA, the organization behind all this stuff. And people on that list were then doxxed, they were called, they were harassed, they were forced to change their information due to their incompetence and lack of any semblance of care with people's personal information. The first attempt to fix this shit website actually didn't even work, and people could still easily access the information.
The ESA weakly attempted to chalk it up to a website vulnerability, but there was no vulnerability exploited. The information was literally sitting there, asking to be taken, not stolen, because nothing was hacked, nothing was broken into. It was there on an unsecure page to be taken and distributed, which it was.
Only a tiny, pathetic apology was issued in response. Really, you guys got away with not getting a class action lawsuit against you.
The ESA, quick as it is to defend the interests of multi-billion-dollar companies, proved woefully pathetic at protecting the safety of its E3 guests, and offered only pitiful excuses in response to directly harmful negligence that it could be and should be legally liable for. You're a big piece of shit. You're a treacherous, two-faced, hypocritical, backstabbing piece of shit, ESA.
Also, you know what? Put the messy, disappointing E3 show in this slot as well. With Sony pulling out, fuck it. It sucked. At least Keanu was breathtaking. Keanu was cool. That's it.
Yeah. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
Number 10.
Set your Joy-Con down on its side.
Oh my God, Joe, you're gonna...
Set your Joy-Con down on its side.
Try this again. Try this again.
Set your Joy-Con down on its side. Set your
Shut the
Joy-Con
fuck
down on its
up!
side. Set your Joy-Con down on its side.
Nintendo has had its fair share of controversies this year, but perhaps the biggest one was the Joy-Con drift. Players were experiencing this with their brand new freaking consoles. The system will detect slight movement of the analog stick even when you aren't touching the fucking controller, leading to some really shitty gameplay experiences. And at first, people thought, well, it's only a handful of people. It's just the left Joy-Cons. You just played with it too hard. But then users quickly realized how many others were experiencing the very same issues on Reddit and in other Nintendo communities, not only with the left, but with the right controller as well, which eventually led to a class action lawsuit being filed against the company for allowing such a defective feature on a pretty fucking expensive product.
Set your Joy-Con down on its side. Set your Joy-Con down on its side.
Some are even saying the issue has been reported on the Switch Lite as well, which doesn't even have removable Joy-Cons. And Nintendo's staying quiet and likely, initially when it started happening, they were sort of resisting at first. But eventually, Nintendo did do the right thing, and I'm going to give them credit, and that's why it's lower. They started offering users free repairs. But this issue should have been addressed long ago in production. Worse, because they likely knew about the problem and pressed forward anyway. Especially when those damn Joy-Cons themselves, they're already overpriced and friggin' expensive, and they're kind of garbage. Fix your shit!
Set your Joy-Con down on its side.
Ah, that fucking Godzilla's approaching the generators, Joe! Set your controller on the fucking side!
Set your Joy-Con down on its side.
Shut the fuck up!
Why is it not
Set your Joy-Con
Set
down
your-
on its side.
Shut your Joy-Cons!
Number 9.
When the president spoke on Monday about last weekend's shootings, he focused on the video game industry.
We must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. It is too easy today for troubled youth to surround themselves with a culture that celebrates violence.
Video games do not cause violence.
We have to look at the internet because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it, and also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
Say it with me now, politicians, right here. Video games do not cause violence.
Very, very potentially dangerous. Samuel Zeif is still with us. He survived the shooting at the Stoneman Douglas High School. You grew up with a lot of these video games. What's your reaction when you hear the president say that?
My friends and I have been playing video games our whole life, and never, ever, and seeing, of course, violent movies, being kids, but never have we ever felt driven or provoked by those actions in those games to do something as horrible as this. I don't think anyone is. It's a video game. Something happens, you restart. We know that's not how life is.
I don't know how many times we have to have this tired-ass excuse trotted out after a mass shooting because the people involved played video games at one time or knew somebody that played video games, and that's the reason why, and that our culture is poisoned because of all the killing shooters, while all ignoring the real world evidence, especially in the last year, report after report that says that not only do video games not directly cause violence, but that they are actually beneficial to those that play them, increasing their skills, offering a release, a therapy essentially. This is one that's as old as gaming itself, and I am so surprised that it's being trotted out in 2019.
There is a clear, unequivocal link between violent video games, violent behavior. Their blood pressure goes up, their heart rate goes up, violent actions go up. The data is persistent and clear across many different forms. You cannot deny it.
How is this still a thing? I guess we're gonna have to wait for another 20 fucking years till current gaming population, all these gamers now, then start to have more representation in government more and more. And I can't wait until gaming is no longer scapegoated to distract the populace from the real causes of these issues.
Healthy people have to be trained to kill, and the video games do the same thing to the kids.
I am so tired of this. I even had to go on my local news to defend gaming, to show some statistics that while other countries play just as violent video games as we do and just as much video games, they don't have the same sort of issues.
But study after study finds no link between violent video games and aggressive behavior. In real life, Joe Vargas is passionate in his fight against this debunked narrative.
Oh, geez.
You know, it really bothers me when those politicians try to blame video games for, causing violent behavior.
Vargas has had this conversation constantly for his 10 years in the video game industry. After years of research and studies, he believes the facts are on his side.
Japan has more video game sales revenue than the U.S. You don't see those mass shooting numbers in Japan or any other country that plays video games.
That's why Vargas says he can call the argument around violent video games what he feels it really is.
They're just trying to distract people or use a scapegoat temporarily to distract from real issues that they need to be talking about.
Number 8.
Bit is the showcase for this box because it's friggin' huge. It says Nuka-Cola on the top. It's got the Fallout.
The Fallout. The Fallout.
Hands to get this out of here, so I'm gonna set the camera down and come back. It's gonna be There's that foam that I was talking about. I don't want to spend too much time looking in there because it's so dark.
Not only did we get so many news stories on all of its fabulous failures throughout 2019, even being the #2 worst game of the year with Fallout First, but you capped that off with Fallout potentially making people physically sick and threatening their health and lives with mold found in Fallout 76 Collector Edition, GameStop Edition versions of the helmets, and you can easily say that Bethesda has had a really rough year. And thankfully, this was a relatively small incident with not many likely affected, as though, 20,000 helmets were sold, but it's believed that only 32 of them were sold through the retailer with the issue. But it is a never-ending source of fucking failure. The fucking rum, the helmets, the fucking game, and Fallout First. Just bundle all that shit together. Controversy after controversy that we have our own news segment for it. And you get the Fallout.
Go where you want. Do whatever you want. This is the golden age of gaming. Make the player proud when he's playing your game. Make yourself proud that you made it. Make your player proud that he bought it. And it works, it actually works perfectly.
Number 7.
But Game Freak with Sword and Shield has now decided you can't do that anymore. And that upsets some people. They have removed what has always been kind of an intrinsic feature of the series. They have stated many times that they don't want to do that. They want people to bring their friends, their Pokemon forward to the next generation and go on new adventures, and yet they have removed the ability for that to happen in many cases. Every single starter except for Charizard does not exist in the game. Charizard exists, but no Squirtle and no Bulbasaur. Like, what? You're breaking up okay, cool. But what else is there? It looks like a 3DS. I mean, it looks like a 3DS game with slightly updated graphics, and even that's debatable, but I'm not going to get into that discussion. But it's a $60 game instead of a $40 game because Nintendo Switch.
Dexit, as people call it. Pokemon Sword and Shield became the first brand new next generation of Pokemon games to surprisingly lack in Pokemon. The past Pokemon titles have always included the National Pokedex, which allows you to import your Pokemon from previous games that aren't in the current release. Not so here, not anymore. With only 400 Pokemon, and that is including the different forms and unique forms of the same ones, and no Pokédex, this pissed off the Pokemon community, and soon the Reddit and the forum communities were ablaze. In addition, some players were doing the research, they were looking up all the quotes, they were pointing out that there is a serious lack of attention to detail in the animations and perhaps some straight up copy and paste of the Pokemons, poking holes in all of the excuses that Game Freak was giving.
However, Game Freak has now officially lied to us about something of massive proportion for the Sword and Shield games. It pains me to say this, but a huge part of the reason that Game Freak gave us for why 52% of the Pokemon have been removed from the game has turned out to be false. They blatantly lied to us. They said that all of the Pokemon models had to be remade from scratch, causing them to have little time to work on including all of the Pokemon in the game. The reused models look pretty darn obvious, and there were several videos put out by graphic designers noting that it would be virtually impossible to have the models look so identical in terms of polys and vertices without directly importing them, including the fact that if they had redone them, you'd think they might improve the problems with the originals, like the rigid points in Gyarados' whiskers, for instance. And as I've said before, even if they did just copy the style of the old models, is that really from scratch since you have a complete base to work off of?
And here we are though. But in the end though, those players bought it anyway as this game ended up being like the third best selling Nintendo game of all time. Pokemon, catching them all has never been a more ironic title because you're going to need to pay for expansions or have your friends pay for expansions and then trade with them or wait for free updates to then trade with somebody that did get the expansions so that you could get the Pokemon that weren't in there and in the National Pokedex.
You know, the criticisms are there, and the criticisms I think are valid. I think Pokemon and Game Freak get away with a lot of things that other companies wouldn't be able to get away with.
But for me, I don't know, I just think the Pokemon games, they're not evolving enough with the franchise Yes, they're adding an open world and things like that, but the animations, they've sounded the same, making the same sounds for 20 years since I was playing on the Game Boy and using my Game Boy Link. They don't even fucking talk. It's not evolving enough in my opinion. You combine these two things together, and I'm just concerned about the future for the Pokemon fandom and for yearly updates, sort of like Madden. I don't want it to get there, and hopefully it will not. So you guys need to push back, let them know.
And I think a lot of the criticisms that people have had regarding Pokemon Sword and Shield are valid criticisms. I have been extremely critical of Sword and Shield myself. I will still probably end up purchasing at least one of them.
Number 6.
Epic Games exclusives. Competition, it's almost always a good thing, but in this instance, with how the Epic Games Store literally smashed onto the scene, and it was just a real dick move, throwing around their Fortnite money, right? Epic Games, then Tim Sweeney just pulled up, just truckloads of money and just dumped it on various game developers in order to get them to agree to these PC exclusivity things for their particular platform.
Someday, put it together.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
What are you doing?
I'm distracting you, you big turd blossom.
And something PC gamers are not used to or very appreciative of, right? One after the other, they landed large exclusive deals with games like Division 2, The Outer Worlds, Borderlands 3, Control, I'm forgetting another one. They're just on their underperforming platform, okay? This is not how you do it. This splits the multiplayer base. It also feels shitty when you're left with zero choice. And worse, some games were literally ripped away last minute from Steam. That's right, Metro. And it's just Epic's response, or the way that they went about it, was laughably bad. Things likely wouldn't have been so bad if they have decided to first invest that bonus from that dirty Fortnite money into the platform itself, building the features that Steam users are used to and improving the digital store. But instead, they chose to brute force their way into the market, and this strategy has actually worked. It has 100% worked flawlessly. Encouraged by their success in 2019, we are told more of these exclusives are coming in 2020. So we can only hope that the platform itself will also be improved sooner rather than later.
Number 5.
Hi, I'm looking for...
Stadia?
What?
What's Stadia? Stadia is only the newest, most logic-defying, mind-bending, absurd gaming platform on Earth! Forget boxes, forget consoles, just your games, your screens, and electric air. And this electric air is Stadia.
What the fuck was this piece of shit. Advertised as literally this revolutionary streaming service that allowed you to connect and play games from anywhere without the need of expensive PC rigs or consoles, just instantly playing a massive library of games.
4K, 60 FPS.
Anytime you want, anywhere you want. It was basically bullshit.
In the lead up to Google Stadia's launch, that a lot of features would be missing. So this right here is a GIF that Gene Park posted showing just how delayed the input lag is. So you can see it right here. The button press and then like a second later, the Destiny 2 character jumps. That's awful.
At least for right now. None of the full original concept and promises of this service is really there without these massive asterisks and caveats.
60 FPS. 60 FPS.
So we're inside a game.
Douche canoe.
Live anywhere.
This is amazing.
Play with any who.
The commercials are cringe. The fucking controller is shitty. The service itself is shitty and laggy. And it's like, who the fuck can play this? The list is too long of stuff not delivered. The massive data stuff where there's, in a world of data caps, subscription services that has you pay for each additional game you want on top of the subscription service. It's like Google Stadia was literally trying to kill itself before it even had a chance.
I hate myself. I hate myself. I want to die. Kill me.
And not only did they really fuck this all up as evidence, but now it's being reported that they want to have exclusives in 2020. More of this shit. No. Bad. No. No, fix your sick filth.
Play with any who. Not depending on downloads or updates is like nothing. Nothing you've ever played games on before!
Unthink the things you think are things.
Free your mind at the one place for all the ways we play.
Stadia!
Number 4.
The future. The life unlived.
You backstabbing rat! You sold us out! I never should have trusted you!
You fucked it up. Whereas Stadia was a newbie to the scene, fucking it up, Bioware was a legendary studio that made good shit. We expected more, that they wouldn't fuck it up, and they fucked it up. What happened? Well, I guess we actually do know what happened, thanks to Jason Schreier and his Kotaku article, with sources directly from within the company. It could fill a top 10 list of Anthem fuck-ups itself. Basically, it was a case of mismanagement, conflicting ideas, just pride and hubris, misguided, shitty company culture, thinking their shit don't stink and will be sorted out by some kind of magic fairy dust in the crunch time? Hell no. Bullshit. You know, when we were all watching that E3 trailer saying, oh, that's a cool game, who's making it? It's Bioware. Well, that was the exact same question some of the Bioware staff itself must have been asking. Who's making that one? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, first of all, it's amazing to be back. It's awesome to be making games for Bioware fans. You know, we have the best fans. So it's been super satisfying to come back to it. And, you know, I just want to be able to continue the legacy of the studio. And that's kind of where it started with Anthem, is just thinking about, you know, what is the evolution of a Bioware game? And
to date, Anthem is by far the lowest rated Bioware game. And many people fear it will be or was the death of a beloved studio. I hope not. Shit. Fuck. Fucking shit.
Anyone, we're under attack. Anyone in the area, we're under attack.
You can equip your Javelin exosuit with gear that brings devastating power
What
to
the
combat.
fuck? What the fuck? That never fucking happens in the game. That's exactly what would make it fucking cool. They fucking lied to us.
Number 3.
Activision has definitely shaped the industry. It's been around now for 40 years, and in the beginning, we were pioneers of the gaming industry. And now you look at it today, and we are leaders in the industry. And we continue to pave the way in new ways in terms of the bar we set for the quality of the types of video games that are out there.
It still kind of feels like a startup. It still feels like it's pushing boundaries and it's innovative. It has a lot of energy and enthusiasm.
We have top talent that are super passionate. Everybody brings their A game every day. Provide training and dialogue and coaching along those lines.
And then at the end of the day, the fact that I have a product that I can touch and feel, that I'm insanely proud to say, hey, this is what we produce as a company, is very motivating to me. Walking down the street wearing an Activision shirt and someone stops me and tells me
it's 2019 was the year of crunch, layoffs, sexual harassment, record profits, and controversies. You know what? Basically, video game companies treating their employees like shit all the while. Did you know that Blizzard Activision that year, 2019, laid off over 800 people, while at the same time posting record profits? $7.5 billion, 1.5 of which is billion in profits, on top of the news of their new CFO, Dennis, who received a $15 million bonus just to take the job up front. Maybe you could have used that to pay some of your employees.
The perks and the bonuses that go to these executives. These people who are in charge and yet don't suffer from their own failures. These people who are in charge where even if the business tanked tomorrow, they'd get on a little golden parachute and get a high-ranking job at some other company they can fuck up.
And Activision wasn't the only one. EA also laid off 350 employees despite a 10% yearly profit uptick, which has made some people start wondering whether the industry really should unionize so as to stop getting screwed over by its employers. This is the day and age where you have talented individuals who are working on one game, and it's so rare that they'll work on the next one, or the franchise, or carry over to the next one. That's fucked. And people don't realize that is not commonplace anymore. People are dropped constantly. But that's not all. That's not all. Let's move on to the next one.
Number 2.
Well, first, we don't call them loot boxes. I think that was
whatever term you wish to apply to them. Do you consider them ethical?
So what we look at as surprise mechanics, but I think it's important to look at this. So we do think the way that we have implemented these kind of mechanics, and FIFA, of course, is our big one, our FIFA Ultimate Team and our packs, is actually quite ethical and quite fun, enjoyable to people.
No. Not content to stop at treating their own employees like they're dumb and trash, EA attempted to do the same thing with its customers last year with their surprise mechanics debacle. And you know what? This spot is reserved for the industry as a whole, with all the aggressive ass microtransactions and aggressive shitty fucking DLC mobile trash tactics that we're starting to wear so deep on players that we started to fight back.
F*** off, EA. All right? F*** right off.
And governments last year finally started to step up and move just a little on this front, scaring the gaming companies. The UK got some of the industry leaders to sit down with them to explain exactly what these things were and what the hell is going on. It didn't go well. EA put their foot in their fucking mouths and made themselves look stupid as hell, and rightfully so poorly defending their stances because there's really nothing to defend. It was hilarious. And I myself have started to more actively campaign and participate in these discussions with our governments and my representatives. This needs to be watched, and we need to protect our games from these predatory practices, lest we want our favorite hobby to suffer negatively. And thankfully, it seems like companies are starting to back off. I'm only saying that because Activision kind of removed the shit from Call of Duty, but goddamn, in a blink of an eye, it could all fucking return. Let's see what happens in 2020.
In staying with the spirit of what Kelly said, we are renaming several of our things. Microtransactions shall now be known as amusement adjusters. Season passes are now joy extenders. Crunch time is now fun to work conversion. And no more review copies for you, Joe means spoiler preventers.
Number 1.
你就讲完那8个字，然后导播我们就结束，我们就什么也都不要聊了。然后你随时可以开始，头先低下来。
光复香港时代革命。
导播可以切回来了。
好，导播谢谢。
谢谢，好，可以了，这样可以吧？嗯，好。聪哥，我们会进破口吗？这房会不会太短
？Yep. Probably the most well-known controversy of this year is this one. That's why it's at the top, even though those other ones are far worse. Well, maybe, because Blizzard is essentially coming out against free speech and revealing themselves for who they really are, right? They banned a player for speaking out on a current event issue. Blitzchung spoke out against China on Hong Kong in support of the democratic protests. In response, he was immediately banned. And not only that, but even the hosts of the stream were also executed along with the guilty for a year as well.
China catch 'em all. Catch out all who disagree with you and destroy their careers in this latest expansion. Each game played adds to your social credit system, so you can make mom and government proud. Enjoy our new card mechanic, Suppression of Speech.
Shut your fucking mouth!
If you win any Hearthstone game but disagree with anything Blizzard says, your account will be deleted. Coming out Chinese New Year.
Chinese Blizzard accounts quickly posting that they stand with the China and they will not condone anyone speaking against the country. It really made it feel as if Blizzard was taking a stand against free speech. Hell, even politicians started to pick up on the story, with Blizzard being so fucking silent and quiet and hoping that it would go away. We want to be in the Chinese market and make money. We can't say anything.
Enjoy our new card mechanic, Suppression of Speech.
Shut your fucking mouth!
Stand up for what you believe! Or what you supposedly believe, which obviously clashes. You know, Blizzard's company policies in the United States are like, they center around free speech and free ideas and cultivating a workplace environment and a community with our players. Yeah. The blowback was so large that the official response for Blizzard was so awful, it just made the issue worse, especially at the upcoming BlizzCon. There were this convention would turn into this battleground of protests, right? And they responded at the con with one of the weakest apologies in recent memory. We're sorry.
Before we start the opening ceremony, I want to say a few words. You know, Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not. We moved too quickly in our decision-making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you.
Reducing the ban on both Blitzchung and the hosts, but not by much. Exposing Activision's Blizzard's priorities as clearly money over ideas, something that should have been obvious. That's just the way it is. But with all the talk that they do, and some people might have thought that bought into that shit at some point, this controversy lays it pretty clear who's really in charge and what is really going to be protected above all else. Don't talk about Hong Kong, don't talk about China. Shut your fucking faces, buy our games, and let's get that nice, sweet-ass Chinese market money.
When I think about what I'm most unhappy about, there's really two things. The first one is we didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. And the second is we failed in our purpose. And for that, I am sorry, and I accept accountability. So what exactly?
To get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
And I accept accountability.
Please clap.
So what exactly?
Great, wonderful. That's it of this year's controversies. Quite a few of them. I might have missed a few. I'm sure there's some honorable mentions here. Put them in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra bonus list video. If you did, please consider becoming a Mobile Infantry Division member who supports the show directly. We have a Patreon now. We have a join button. It'd be awesome to see you guys there. We've got some non-content bloopers, things like that. And that stuff helps us to put out even more content like this list and more new shows on the way. Thank you guys so much. I am going to go lay down and cry until we do our next list. All right? But hopefully 2020 will be a lot better. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.